If you believe you are less than, you will always settle for less than. Welcome to the Den Podcast. My name is Dan Howard, and this is the podcast where we equip kingdom minded believers with spiritual truths to walk in divine authority, wisdom, and wealth. I am so happy to be here on today. And today we're going to talk about, yes, identity. Listen, family, I need you to hear this with your spirit and not with your ears. If you believe you are less than, you will always settle for less than. Let me say it even plainer. You can have the talent, the anointing, the strategy, the connections. But if your identity is cracked, your decisions will leak. And some of us have been trying to build a legacy with a self-image held together by spiritual duct tape. Let's just be real about it. So today we're talking about identity sabotage, how it works, how it hides, and how it messes with your money. Now, for the Black entrepreneur, scarcity isn't just a lack of capital. It's often a byproduct of identity sabotage, because some of what we call money problems are actually agreement problems. Listen, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of these agreement problems that we have. One thing that is common, I won't say prevalent, but common, especially in the Black community, are jokes. We are a people that love to joke, and we tend to make comparisons in our jokes. Now, recently, a political figure put out a video comparing, or with some AI technology, putting the head of former presidents on the body of apes or monkeys. And of course, as you can imagine, this brought up a very sensitive feeling in a lot of minority communities, but especially in Black communities. You see, we've all heard the jokes, the comparisons to monkeys, to primates, the Uncle Tom, the coon labels thrown by outsiders, as in this case, and sometimes by our own. We think we can brush it off. We think, oh, I'm strong, it doesn't bother me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, right? But these aren't just insults. These are spiritual and psychological mechanisms designed to devalue your image, the image of God within you. Because if the enemy can convince you that your image is less, you'll start building less, asking for less, charging less, tolerating less, and calling it humility. But humility is not self-erasure. And healing is not playing small so people feel comfortable. So today we're exposing the anatomy of identity sabotage, and we're calling you back to your original design. Now let's talk about something that people don't like to admit out loud. Sometimes the loudest voice policing your identity isn't outside the community. It's inside. These labels, monkey, coon, Uncle Tom, they create a fenced-in expression. Let's start with the monkey trope. That comparison is not random. It's a direct hit to your humanity. Because if someone can frame you as primal, animal, or less evolved, it becomes easier psychologically and socially to justify treating you like you don't belong in rooms of power. And here's the part that gets sneaky. Even when you reject it intellectually, it can still leave residue emotionally. So you walk into the boardroom, you walk into the bank, you walk into that negotiation, and you feel like you have to overcompensate. You have to overprove yourself. You know, I remember growing up, that my parents used to say, you have to be twice as good as everyone else just to get the same opportunity. That overcompensation that so many of us as Black people in America especially have dealt with. That feeling that just being me isn't enough. And so we overcompensate. You're not just presenting your offer. You're presenting your humanity. You're not just applying for the job. You're submitting your humanity. And guess what? That's exhausting. That's when the enemy whispers, be grateful they even let you in. You should be happy to even get an interview. Don't ask for too much. Don't ask for too much money. Don't rock the boat. Don't be too much. And suddenly, your pricing, your posture, your confidence all start shrinking. Not because you lack skill, but because you're managing the trauma of being misrepresented. Now let's talk about the labels that cut differently, because they come with community pain attached. Uncle Tom, Coon. These labels become a form of in-group policing. You know what I'm talking about. Community policing. Whether it's in your family or on social media or on the street. And what it communicates is this. There's a ceiling to Black success. If you speak too well, you're suspicious. If you dress too polished, you're trying to be white. If you build too much wealth, you must have sold out. If you move with excellence, you're doing too much. And or many of us anyway, have heard of the Black tax. It's almost a punishment for some Black people to become very successful, because the Black tax says that you have to take care of everybody that you left behind. We've seen that played out many times, and we've seen the result of that being that person being emptied, sometimes of their bank account, sometimes of their emotions. So the high achiever gets punished, not for being wrong, but for being visible. And the goal isn't just to insult you. It's to fence in your expression. It says be successful, but not that successful. Be smart, but don't get too smart. Be confident, but don't forget your place. That is not community accountability. That is identity sabotage dressed up like keeping it real. Now let's connect it to the money, because this is where it gets real. If you feel like an imposter or a sellout for pursuing high-level wealth, you will subconsciously sabotage your own deals to fit in with the struggle. You'll undercharge. You'll avoid visibility. You'll delay launching that project, that business. You'll shrink your goals. You'll stop showing up consistently. And listen, you're doing this not because you're lazy, but because part of you, that subconscious part that we've been talking about, is trying to stay safe. Because when your identity has been policed, your nervous system starts treating expansion like danger, success like risk. And you'll call it discernment, but it's really fear wearing church clothes. So what's the root spirit feeding all this? Let's name it. The truth is, scarcity thrives in dehumanization. Because when you don't see yourself as fully worthy, you won't believe you're fully authorized. And when you don't believe you're authorized, you won't steward abundance well. Because deep down you think it's not really for you. Here's the truth. When you allow a label to define your range of expression, you are agreeing with a lie. And a mind that agrees with a lie cannot fully steward the truth of God's abundance. So I'm going to say something that might stretch you. Not every financial limitation is financial. Some limitations that some of us are experiencing in our lives are limitations based on identity agreements. And as long as you keep negotiating with lies about who you are, you will keep making decisions that match the lie. But today, can we agree we are breaking that agreement? We are breaking the agreement with scarcity. Scarcity thinking, the scarcity framework, and even the whole system of scarcity that has really been an oppressor in our community, especially. Now, I'm speaking about the Black community because I'm Black. And these are things that I've experienced and seen firsthand. And until we are able as a people to name it and to call it out and to recognize when it's happening and not shrink in fear and not doubt who we are because others are fearful of who we are, because others are intimidated about what we carry, whether they're in our community or not, then we'll constantly be in this merry-go-round, going round and round. We continue to talk about wealth. We continue to talk about the goodness of God and how much He wants us to have more. But as long as we are shrinking our identity, as long as we are cowarding to the words that say, you shouldn't do that, you don't deserve that, that's not for you, as long as we allow labels to cause us to feel less than who we are, yeah, it's going to be difficult for us to ever really come out of that place, that system, that box that has kept us for so long. So listen, here's your mind shift moment. You don't need permission to be whole. You need agreement with truth. Do I need to repeat that? You don't need permission to be whole. You need agreement with truth. Because healing isn't just feeling better. It's thinking differently. It's choosing differently. Even when the old version of you tries to pull you back. And yes, the old version will absolutely throw a tantrum. Absolutely. Let her cry. Let her cry, throw a fit, but we're going to build anyway. So listen, let me give you our 3 takeaways for today. Number 1, identity sabotage is a spiritual strategy. It attacks the image of God in you. In you. It attacks the image of God in you, so you live beneath your design. We've got to recognize that, and we've got to be able to name it when we see it. In-group policing fences in your expansion. It limits your expansion. Labels like Uncle Tom, Coon, whatever other label you can think of are often used to punish visibility and excellence in others in the community. Scarcity grows where dehumanization lives. So when you accept limiting labels, you unconsciously make financial decisions to match that lie. Listen, thanks for joining me on today. We are going to continue this discussion. But in the next episode, we're going to talk about how to identify the exact agreements you're carrying and how to break them without breaking yourself. Oh. If this episode spoke to you, share it with a Black entrepreneur or faith-based leader who's been shrinking to survive. And if you're listening and thinking, Deb, I'm ready to rebuild from truth, then stay close. This series is for you. I'm also going to invite you to go to debhoward.com so that you can see our upcoming events. I look forward to connecting with you. And listen, you already know what I'm going to say. Go have your most abundant day. I'll see you soon.